I have single-handedly closed over 300 SMMA clients, and I've helped coach people to close over 2,000. So like overall, over probably $5 million in just SMMA revenue. And usually, like typically what I'm seeing is the biggest bottleneck in their business is sales. Like getting appointments, it's easy, right? You call somebody, you run an ad, but to actually have some fucking charisma and to be able to talk to somebody and not be a loser, it's not the easiest thing in the world. And so like prospects are always telling people, and this used to be me, I need to think about it. I need to talk to my partner. I need to see the contract, like anything to give you some fucking bullshit objection. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the exact sales script that I used in my agency that hit 103.4K a month and helped us hold over a 45% closing rate. And it's not some crazy script that's gonna take you years to memorize or something with a bunch of intricate things. It is simple and to the point, and if you implement this into your business today, I promise you will see results. All right, so this is the script. I'm gonna walk you guys vaguely through it, and then I'm gonna walk you guys through some things and like optimizations we can actually make throughout like the sales process and like to get better at closing. First things first, when it comes to closing, it's just about reps. Like we need to put the reps in to get better, right? It's just like everything. If you're not fucking good at something, you need to do it more. You're not gonna be really good at bench pressing if you just started bench pressing yesterday. And so there's a few phases to sales, right? And so whatever guru you're listening to, whether it's Jeremy Miner, Bill Walsh, Hermosi, they all want to do the same things. First, it's build rapport and build a connection with the prospect, right? Second is go through their current situation to figure out where they are right now. Second, to make them aware of the problem, right? Three, make them aware of a solution to the problem. So, right, it's like we want to see where they are, what is stopping them from getting where they want to be, right? And what they are looking for to solve this problem. Right? So it's like, where are you at right now? What's your problem from getting you where you want to be? And what do you want to fix that issue? After that, we go into something called future pace, right? So future pace is almost painting that picture in their mind of like what they want things to look like, right? So let's say like their big goal is they're a solar business owner and they want to do 10 deals a month. And that would essentially help them sell their, that would help them spend more time with their family. It's kind of questions like, how would that make you feel? How would that make your family feel? Right? Having them feel emotionally in that pocket. Now, this is typically a bottleneck for entrepreneurs. The reason is it's hard for somebody to ask a question like that and it to hit. If I were to ask you that question, maybe you would be receptive to it. If we're young, if we don't have authority in our industry, like, and we're like, how would that make your daughter feel? It's like, dude, why the fuck are you asking me that? I'll go through this later, how we kind of avoid that. Next is consequence, right? So consequence is basically what would happen if nothing changes and you keep doing what you're doing right now. So basically we're getting a situation like where are you currently at? Then we're kind of going into what's the problem? What do you want to do to fix the problem? How would the problem make you feel if it was fixed? And what happens if you never fix the problem? This is the discovery. This is what is important in sales, right? So this is what's going to close the deal, right? And this is what's going to set frame with the business owner. Something that I'm seeing as a very, very common mistake in SMMA and closing is, especially with younger people under like 23 and don't have sales experience, you need to make sure you're keeping frame of the call, right? And so like there's a lot of the times this is our script, right? And having a script is really, really solid. And I suggest everybody has to stay on your line. Runners, if you're a runner and you're running in circles on a track, or if you're a driver and you're driving in circles on a fucking track, do they call that shit a track too? I don't really know. But anyway, if you're in that situation, you stick a line where you want to run and you just run that line the whole time. If you ever get pushed off, you make it back to your line. If you ever get pushed off the line this way, someone pushes you, you get back on your line. And so it's you always have somewhere to go. When you get lost in sales, you refer back to your script. So it's like current situation, we need to make this thing like a checklist almost. So it's like, okay, have we gotten, like all of these steps are like a checklist. Okay, so did we get current situation? Did we get problem awareness? Did we get solution awareness? Yeah. Did we get future pace? Yeah. Did we consequence? Yeah. So it's not necessarily like you need to ask these questions in these exact order, but it's like you have a line and you have a framework for sales where you can always come back to so you can be comfortable. You are not comfortable outside your script because that's uncharted territory. You know what I mean? But you are comfortable when you are on your script because you should have repped that 1,000 fucking times, right? Current situation. So current situation being, where are you right now? Like we were just talking about this, but let's say we're like talking to a prospect. Okay, let's ask, how many jobs are they doing? What are we currently doing for marketing? How much are you spending in ads? How is that going? We just want to get an understanding of what's going on. Now, the purpose of current situation is basically to see what they're doing right now, but also to see if they're working with another agency, if they've been burned in the past by another agency. And if they have, what we do there is we just dive deeper into that, right? And so this is like a small sales tip that comes up a lot in current current situation is like, they're like, oh yeah, we're running with this other agency, we got scammed, blah, blah, blah. Don't leave that, right? Because once they tell you something like that, once they tell you, oh, I've been scammed, oh, I've been burned in the past, we already know the objection that they're gonna give us at the end of the call, right? And so probe on that. Okay, yeah, what did that agency do? Okay, and like they're running your ads or what? And like, do you know what type of ads they were running? Okay, and then what type, like, why do you think it's not working, right? And so we can get their perception on it. And so from there, we can pitch around what they like, you know, or what they want to hear. Think of it like a checklist. Current situation, boom, 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 I got it. Problem awareness, boom, did I get the problem? Are they giving me a problem? If they're not giving you a problem, you have to keep probing until you get a problem. Don't move on and don't jump around. So don't go current situation, problem, oh, we didn't get a problem, let's go solution. Okay, now let's see if we can get the problem. Okay, now let's go consequence. Okay, no, so it's like, current situation, check, 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 boom. Problem, check, 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 boom. Solution awareness, check, 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 boom. And then we go from there. So problem, we stay on problem until we get the actual problem. And that about wraps up what I need, like, in terms of metrics. Now, the question of the day is like, what brings you to call, like, other than just seeing what we have to offer? They're hopefully giving you the answer like, I'm not generating enough leads, I need more appointments on my calendar, right? And that's the problem, I don't have enough opportunities. And then from there, we go into asking, what's the rationale of looking into the other options? Why not continue to do what you're already doing? And so that kind of dives deeper into problem, because it's like, let's say they're just saying they want more leads. All right, fuck, okay, you want more leads, cool. But like, why don't, you're currently getting leads somehow. You're probably door knocking, and we learned that in current situation. So it's like, let's say in current situation, we asked, how are you currently getting leads, right? And then in problem awareness, we're like, they're basically saying we need more leads in problem. And then we're like, okay, well then what's the rationale of like not just going and hiring 4 more door knockers and just doubling down on door knocking? Like, why are we even looking into something like this? You know what I mean? So like almost pushes them away for them to come back as well, while expanding on the problem. What I need you guys to realize here, or like, especially like what I want you to realize, I guess is a better way to phrase it, is like everything here is about tonality and your voice inflection and how you're saying things. You could say the same exact thing in 2 different phrases, in 2 different, like with 2 different tonalities to 2 different people. It's coming off completely different. And so like, don't be aggressive. And like, all I can say is chill the fuck out. Don't make this sales call some huge deal. You're having a conversation with somebody at the end of the day. The only reason you would be nervous going into a sales call is if you haven't repped it enough, if you hadn't practiced the script, if you hadn't ran mock calls, and like that becomes your fault, right? And so like, run the mock calls, get enough reps so you feel comfortable being on the actual call. That's a huge thing I'm seeing, is like, people just sound nervous as fuck. And if you sound nervous, you are not an expert. Like, a huge thing with the sales is like sounding like an expert in your niche, because everyone is looking for somebody to be their marketer. Everybody is booking a call because they want a solution, right? They want new leads. They already want the problem to be fixed. Like, you just have to convince them that that's you. But if you sound like a fucking nerd and you can't convince them that like you're an expert, and talk with some fucking poise and handle yourself like a man or like a human, you are not going to convince them to give you $2,000 over the fucking phone. It's just not how it works. Become an expert and speak like an expert. I'm looking at a script. Oh, and that about wraps up what I need in terms of metric. Now, I guess the question of the day is, what brings it? Like, obviously you motherfuckers probably won't talk that robotic, but like, my point is, you need to learn the script so much that you're not like reliant on it to the T, right? Like, we can still have it up for a framework, but I don't want you guys to be like, blah, 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 like I said, right? Then you are not an expert in your niche, and you are not an expert, and you will not convince people to give you $2,000 over a phone call or a Zoom call, right? It just doesn't matter. And like, something big with that is actively listen. Like, my clients are struggling with this all the time. They're just looking at the script, and like, they have their script on their screen and their camera's at the top like everyone's is, and they're just staring at the screen. Okay, yep, that's cool. And then what's the rationale of looking at other options? Why not continue doing what you're already doing, right? Instead, when you talk and look at the person like you're having a conversation. It's the biggest fucking thing I'm seeing people make mistakes with. Lean back. Oh, okay. Actively listen. Take notes. Listen to the person. They are telling you exactly what you need to say in the pitch, right? And you need to listen, right? And so it's like, instead of just when you're asking a question, just looking at the script, waiting to ask the next one, actively listen. Okay. You need to make the prospect feel heard and cared about. And like, the frame needs to switch from, I want this guy to pay me, to I care about this guy, so I'm going to help him make the best decision that he can. And the best decision for him is going with me as a service provider, because I am going to help him make money. Like, if you're not going to help him make money, then you probably shouldn't be closing him, because you're like basically a scammer, right? Because if you're not making someone more money than you're charging, like why are they paying? They're not going to pay you ever again. Your business isn't going to grow. You're not going to have referrals. There's a bunch of fucking big things that are going to gonna be in trouble there, right? And so like listen and be an expert, right? After problem awareness, we go into solution awareness. This is pretty simple. Same, keep all those things in mind that I just talked about. Have you worked with any agencies in the past? Right here, what I like to do is make sure you were just pre-handling that objection that like most people have, and most people are scared they're gonna get scammed again. So make sure you ask, okay, why are we, or like, why didn't you like them? What did they do that they liked? Why don't you think it works? And then from there, we need to get this information and use it as ammo in the pitch. We don't have even a Google Doc or a slideshow for our pitch. The reason we do that is because we customize our pitch to every prospect from what they told us, which is what we should do. Because based off their situation, based off their problems, and based off what they want as a solution, we should be pitching them something completely different or hammering on two different parts of our system. For example, if somebody is like, oh, like all I want is leads, I don't even care about appointment setting because this other agency was setting appointments and their setters were telling them the wrong things. I'm gonna hammer really, really hard that we get leads and we qualify them really hard on the front end. But I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, and our setters are the best ever. Like, he wants leads, let's pitch him that solution, right? Setters, we'll put that on the back burner. He still gets it, but it's not like, ooh, right? And so this is a big question. These are both big questions for doing that. And again, is this the only call you booked with an agency? Just to see again, this is pre-handling the objection of, oh, I'm talking to other agencies. And then if they say no, like I have a bunch of calls, it's like the question I would ask from there is like, what's your decision-making process look like in order to make a decision with like who you're choosing? And then this last question, this just sets authority in your niche. So like this is our solar closing script. And so to give you some more context, like everything we do based off our clients is based off our clients. So each client has like qualifications they prefer for each lead. So like besides having a decent credit score, like newer roof age and like not too much shade, and like obviously being serious about like getting the product or service, is like, is there anything specific you would want from your leads, right? So like the reason we ask this is like, obviously if they want something else out of their leads, we'll pitch about it. Second thing is like, this just sets authority, because like if we're saying this in solar, you guys that aren't in solar or don't know about solar or like roofing, like probably won't understand this. Like these are just qualifications of solar. They need a good credit score, they need newer roof, they need no shade, and they need to be serious. But if you're doing like Cairo, like I would list like the Cairo qualifications that your leads need for B2C to be able to succeed. If you don't know that yet, then just call a chiropractor and be like, oh, what's like the perfect lead look like to you? I'm doing a marketing project for college, right? It's like, you can figure it out. And this like just sets authority. It's like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's not just some kid trying to sell me marketing. He actually like knows that these are the things I need in a lead. So next is future pace. Now, so like scripting for this would, now, sweet, metrics look good. We're also looking for people who are serious about growing. It also dampens how much we make, and so it's not always worth it. Here, why we're saying this is because it's a pay-per-close, like commission. So what would you say your goal is for revenue and growth? Like revenue for growth. This is just North Star. North Star basically means final goal. Like, what do you want? Like, basically, what do you want? And then future pace here. And for you, like as a business owner, like why is that important to you, right? So we're basically like, again, the huge thing here is like tonality. Like if I'm asking you, oh, so as a business owner, like what would that do for you? It would just be like, oh, like, oh, why are you asking that? But it's like, just curious, like, so we can like have the best relationship possible. Like as a business owner, like what would that like 50K a month, like really, like, why is that important to you? You know what I mean? Like gentle, slow down, lower voice inflection. That's what's going to make future pace hit. Again, the goal for this is to bring them up on a mountain. So like the goal is like, like where are you at right now? Problem. Oh no, problem sucks. Like problem, bringing them down. Future pace is like, like it's really good. Like, oh yeah, I could hit 50K a month. Consequence, boom. We bring them down off the cliff. So it's like future pace up, consequence, we pull them off the cliff and they're back on the floor and they feel like shit, because it's like, how close do you feel to that right now? Okay, and so like if we don't work together and you stay where you're at for another like 6 to 12 months, like what do you see that looking like? You know what I mean? So like these questions, again, voice inflection, really, really important. So again, like I can't stress this enough. The point is like, we find the problem, they feel like shit, and then we're like, okay, but here's our solution, and here's what it's gonna feel like with our solution. And then consequence, it's like, oh, but what if I don't go with the solution and everything's fucked? That's basically A to Z on the discovery. Next is the pitch. So again, it's like we're pitching a lot of like on what they already told us. So like exactly like what they told us in solution. The whole point in solution is to figure out what they want out of an agency. So it's like, are they looking for these lead qualifications? If they are, that's what we would do. And that's what we pitch, right? And so it's like, what don't you like about agents? We pitch the opposite of that, right? Another question I'm like asking here is like, okay, let's say you had like the perfect unicorn agency, 10 out of 10, like what would that look like, right? And then we just pitch around that. So the biggest thing is don't use the same pitch for everybody. Tailor your pitch to the prospect because again, everyone needs something different. And again, the most important thing here is conviction and selling yourself, plus showing you're not some kid trying to start up an agency out of nowhere, even if you are. So this is what pitch looks like. So based off that, I think we can have like an extremely lucrative partnership. Like based off your stats, you know how to sell solar. Like I mentioned, we're backed by a team of marketers here, so we can both do what we're good at. And so like, we're not gonna reinvent the wheel. Meta ads work. So the first thing we'll be doing is setting up your campaign and making sure you're only talking to the people you want to. In other words, like what they said earlier. So when it's what they said earlier, what they said right here. So it's only talking to the people you want to, like that have that credit score, the newer roof age, not too much shade, and are serious, you know? And then after that, we run them through the ads manager. If you don't have an ads manager, I would just keep pitching and like kind of skip this part. And you can even go like data. So like if you don't have an ads manager, like you don't have any clients, you could go like, typically in our industry, we'll see that leads come in for XYZ cost and appointments come in for XYZ cost. But like when you have the ads manager, it puts that much social proof behind you, because you're like, it puts that much more social proof behind you, because you're like, oh, like they've done this for another client, that client's killing it, and he's in similar areas, right? So like it helps when you do have an ads manager of like an old client that you can show and like be like, look, these guys are crushing it, the quality's good, we're not lying to you. It just helps with trust, which is always going to be the biggest objection you're going to get in the agency space. And so like, again, you just walk through this and then we logistically go through it. And it's okay, if you set XYZ appointments per day, how many do you think you can close? Okay, and like how much do you make per close? And then if we're able to do that, like, do you think that's aligned with what you need to get to goal? And when goal, we're talking about their goal for revenue and growth and future pace. And then we pitch, right? Whatever your service is. Right, and this was the pricing. These two questions are just pre-handling objections. So do you feel like if you had all that support, do you think like there's anything getting in the way of your success? Like, so basically this is like the last thing I'll touch on, because I'll drop this doc in the description. So this doc is actually in my free school group. It's completely free, not asking for anything. If you go to the sales portion, this doc's in there, that exact script, and you can just download it and make it your own. Yeah, so the purpose of these questions, do you feel like if you had all this support, do you think there's anything getting in the way of your success? And then so perfect. So like, as long as things make sense and are doable financially, you're pretty much good to go with this. So the reason we're asking this is just like, it's like called a temp check. So it's checking commitment and like on a scale of like 1 to 10, basically like how much they actually really want to do this. So if they say like yes, if they're just like yeah, or like yeah, we should be fine, like that means they don't even actually like your service. And if they don't like care about your service and think that it can help them achieve their goal when you haven't even told them how much money it is, then there's no way they're going to want to do it for 4K or 2K. You know what I mean? And so it's like here, we're basically like, do you feel like there's anything like that would go wrong? And if they're like, even like, nah, like I feel like we're good. Like it's like, they're not really 100% in and bought into the system. And if you're getting any uncertainty there, then or like hesitance, then you need to be like, oh bro, you sound like hesitant, like what's up? And then they'll typically tell you and you just repitch. So it's like, oh, you sound like hesitant, like what's up? It's like, oh yeah, like I just don't know, like some agencies don't really work, blah, 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 blah. And then from there, it's like, oh, so John, I guess, do you feel like if you had the leads with XYZ, with XYZ, XYZ, and like with our other clients that we showed you with the ads manager, like, do you feel like that would help you get to goal, right? And so like, I know that probably sounded like a little complicated, right? But like here, all we're doing is checking commitment. So temp check, like do you feel like there's anything getting in the way of your success? The answer should be like, oh, hell no, bro. Like we're good to go. Like, and then perfect. So as long as things make sense financially, you're good to go with this. It's like, oh yeah, bro, like we're good. And then like, so like that should be the answer. And if it's anything less, so, oh yeah, no, we should be fine. You have to go and call that out. Hey, so like, what's up, man? And then typically he'll tell you. And if he doesn't tell you or she doesn't tell you, then I'm like, usually like when we get here, like something's kind of, and like a client's like this, like something's up. So like, what's happening? And like whatever they say to you, just handle it there. And then you just finish off with the pitch. And then after this, you'll handle objections. So long ass video, did a lot of fucking talking. I hope that helped you out. Again, join that free school community. It has how to get appointments, how to close appointments, how to handle objections, how to do show rate. There will be a objection handling video coming out pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. If I'm providing value, hit subscribe and we will talk soon.